And first question for me, or of me, is about this is not a commercial, but one of my favorite chocolate is Ritter Sport. Are you some kind of the CEO of this company?
Good evening.
Yeah,
This
yes.
one works.
So
Thank
about
you.
the chocolate, Ritter
About the
Sport.
chocolate. Okay. Good evening. Well, I would be happy to be a part of the chocolate company, but still, it's only like similarity of my family name. So part of my family is from Germany, so it's quite common over there to have to be a Ritter. So in translation, it's a knight. But I'm really happy to be here. I'm really grateful for president of the federation for me to invite it here, and I was really enjoying, to bring back all my memories when he asked me to share my experience. So I was happy to bring all the memories that I had in rowing of 20 years, 21 years.
We have something in common. We're three-time Olympians. I'm a journalist, sport journalist, so I wasn't to the London Games, but Rio was my first Olympics, then Pyeongchang Games, the Winter Games, and now Tokyo. So I just want to thank you. We didn't meet in Rio in Brazil, but you made us proud when you got the medal in Rio. Obrigado. And
Thank you.
yes, no matter which of the Baltic states athletes get the medal, we're very proud. So now the stage is yours.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's quite a new thing for me to be on a stage, but please feel free if you would like to interact or just to ask a question during my presentation and my sharing my experience. But I would like to switch that's the first slide. And of course, well, Milda already told half of my story. It's quite similar, practically it's the same. Here you see me 12 years of old. Well, both of my parents were rowers, so that's the reason I got into this sport. And well, basically it was the reason that I was quite chubby as a kid. My mother offered me to try out, maybe to lose some weight and to be more athletic. But, all the time I had the family support. So rowing was really close to our family, as it is probably mostly in the whole community. I agree, and I guess that it's also in Latvians that all the parents are really supportive, as it is in Lithuanians. So, but quite quickly I was recognized because of my height, and well, I was invited to be at the boarding school in Trakai. So I started rowing in Vilnius on the same conditions as it was for Milda, but only 7 years earlier than she started. So basically it was the same conditions, but at boarding school in Trakai it was kind of a made environment for athletes, like internet. So, but also I was training once a day, going early in the morning for school and then going for the training sessions. But it led me for, of course, gaining experience in rowing, but the reason I got in to maybe lose weight, but instead I've gained weight, more and more rowing. But of course, well, I was racing at national level. Of course, I had to give up some time with my friends as natural things, when you go, when you try to reach your goals, and well, you have to go training and you cannot skip any training sessions. So, well, sometimes you have to just sacrifice something. For me, it was constant training was the key in see my progressing at the younger age, but also I discovered that that was also a strong key for me during the rowing career. And I started rowing in the river in Vilnius, but I have to admit that it was really important and made a good influence in probably in the rowing technique. Some of the coaches say that it's important to row in a stream because it gives you some different feelings when you come back on steady water. It gives you maybe better control. Well, that's the opinions, but of course I would advise to do the same. You know, maybe before important races there has to be a steady water, but you know, it was kind of a good start to learn rowing in the river, as I think in Latvia mostly, you know, there are on the rivers. And my first boat was Latvian made, and I'm pretty proud of it. So I got in quite quickly in the junior team, selected in the race in 2004 on World Championships in the coxless pair. And but felt like afterwards had a lack of improvement year by year. I couldn't manage to progress as I was wishing for. And again, my biggest, I would say, difficulty was my weight, because I was heavier than I think I should be. Well, you know, in rowing it's quite important that you carry yourself, and at that time I was quite high, the same height I am now, but I was 125 kilos. So it's a shame, but you know, I tried to make decisions, and without any knowledge I tried to lose a lot of weight. So I made myself injuries, harm. My racing goal was about 100 kilos. So in 6 weeks I reached that goal. I lost a lot of weight, but also I pushed myself into the cardiological problems like arrhythmia. That scared me a lot. And then I had second thoughts that I really thought if it's really worth continuing, maybe harming myself. But on the other hand, I was happy that there were people that supported me from the Olympic Sports Center. They arranged doctors and made a good review of my health status, and they said, well, with these arrhythmias you're not going to kill yourself. I mean, if they're going to happen, they're going to happen again. And yes, I was with arrhythmias from time to time during all my career, but I learned how to control them. I know many great athletes like Senna Müller and the Waddell from New Zealand. They had also similar problems, but somehow they managed to control it and monitor everything. So after this news and the encouragement from the doctors, I was continuing growing. It inspired me quite heavily, and luckily for me, I partnered up with Rolandas here in the picture. And he was younger than me 4 years, but really he was at the junior age, at something like 18, and I was 22 when we partnered up, but he was really the fire in the boat. So he most of the time he had the good mentality of an athlete, and with him, we managed to win our first international title. It was under 23 bronze medal, and in that year, we introduced ourselves to very strong opponents from Latvia, the Dairis Domaitis and Lauris Šire. And well, we had a lot of races together in Amber Wars, in World Championships. That year they won the gold medal in the World Championships under 23. And most of the time we were quite close, but I would admit, I have to admit that they were faster than us. And it, well, we became a lot better in the international level. And also it gave us much more self-confidence because we realized that we can achieve some goals, but we didn't know yet how to do it in proper way. But when came 2011 World Championships for the qualification to London Olympics, I would say that, well, when I was preparing the presentation, I looked up again and memorized the World Championships results. And I remember that Dairis and Lauris were racing there. I would admit that we got more lucky because they were in a stronger quarterfinal than we were, and they were unlucky not to make it to the AB finals. So I think that they would have been qualified, and we were 10th at the World Championships. That gave us a slot for the London Olympic Games. Well, afterwards, I would call the year after the breaking point for me and my colleague, because probably that was the most inspiring and interesting time of my career. Because after Olympics, we agreed with Rolandas that we need to find a way to achieve more, because we knew that we have a possibility, just we don't know the way how to do it. And with the support of a really enthusiastic investor, like this, he said that we can try to find an international coach. And at the European Championships in Varese, we met Gianni Posiglione. I made an intact against him. I mean, I came and just said my first words, hello Gianni, I would like you to be my coach. And he just, a bit surprised, but he was a bit surprised because I know he was working with the Greeks, and also he was open with the other countries. And he said that, it's a much easier decision for me to make, because it was the athlete that made the first contact with me. So I see the motivation, and that was most important thing for him. So, but still, 2013 was, for all of us, was a year of challenge, because when we came, he invited us to come for the training camp in Greece, and it was absolutely flipped. I mean, all what we knew and what we thought about training programs and methodology and motivation was destroyed and put it on the other level. Because usually when we were going on the training camps abroad, we were not doing anything intensive first 3 weeks, just collecting kilometers and trying to feel the water and, just to heal our hands. That's useful. That's usual as it is for everyone, I guess. But when we came, the first day we rode, the next day he invited us for a meeting into his office and said that tomorrow is going to be a testing day. We're going to have 2,000 meters on ergo maximum. Then in the evening, we do 5,000 meters maximum on the ergo. And the next day, we do 17,000 meters on the ergo. So everybody was like, scared of it and shocked of it. Also, we didn't expect anything from that, but anything similar about it. But for him, it was like he was testing our faith, And well, I understood that we have to prove ourselves to gain his trust. So about the selection system and tests, it was like this every month. What I said was 2,000 meters, 5,000 meters, 17. So every time he was checking our physical progress, our mental progress, our mental, how we take the process, how we are willing to train and to give ourselves for the program. And it made absolutely a huge impact on our training program, because, as I said before, we usually been doing steady state first couple of months, only arriving to the competition. Sometimes we try to be more intensive in our trainings, and to do some splits, some intervals. But when the first week we came to Greece, he already gave us sprints maximum 2,000 meters on 200 meters on the water. But we said, it's uncomfortable for us. We are 3 months away from water at home, and then you give us such an intensive, and such an intensity, and it's not comfortable for us. And he explained that you have to be prepared on the ergo all the time and do the same program and try to develop us technically on the ergo, so there will be less problems for you to go in the water. Well, he was always explaining the purpose of training, and it was really clear, but it was quite uncomfortable when we were wet in the office after trainings, and sometimes cold. I had to translate everything, going out of those meetings. With my head overwhelmed, but that was a really great experience, and it showed us that we really can achieve with the right mentality and the right decisions. So that's one of the training from indoors. It was the same program as he gave us every Sunday. It was 7 times 1,000 meters. And because of the bad weather, we have to switch it to indoors, but nothing changes, in the training program. And he just gave us the same things. And as you heard from the video, he asked to control and to not only the numbers were important, but also the technical aspects. But for me, usually physical progress was quite easy. I understand that on the top level, the world-class athletes, they are all prepared perfectly physically as they can be, because you just need to follow the program. Give yourself all in, but follow the program, and you can reach a really high level. Of course, there might be injuries, but all the time we had to prevent it. I was not the case, I had also many injuries throughout my rowing career, but I'm happy that I didn't need to skip any season because of those injuries. Well, on the other hand, there was mental challenges, as I would call. Here you see the same training session with 7 times 1,000 meters, only with the opponents. And Gianni told us that we need to simulate the same stress that we might feel during the races at the international races or races at home or the qualification. So we get used to the stress. If we get used to the stress, we can control our abilities better. And I'm really happy that I was having a really good sparring between our teammates from Lithuania or international teammates that we were staying in Greece during the training camps over there. Also, Gianni was really good psychology expert that he can you imagine if you know how it looks the training channel in Greece, it's it's artificial and you can follow the crews by car. So he was having a little car from Greek Federation going up and down the course with the athletes on 140 kilometers per hour, honking the horn, screaming throughout the window, faster, stronger finish. So it gave us a lot of stress over there, but it was very useful. And as you see during this training session, we are separately on different timing with the other crews. We are set later, so we had to catch them by the difference of the world best times. So they were making coefficient. Well, they were counting the seconds as how much we had to win against or catch them. So it was really, really important, training sessions in sparring. So I would agree that this is probably the biggest impact that gave us. Well, as mentally and physically prepared, but there is, of course, other side that without it, none of the preparation can happen. That's financial support. And about it, there are many things I could say, but what is necessary from my opinion, if you want to race a good season and to gain experience and to build up your training during the training camps, we've been spending from 5 to 6 training camps a year, of course, including the ski cross high altitude trainings. That was really important for us to build up our physical abilities. 5 international races that we've been trying to race in. First one was usually the Memorial Paolo di Aloy in Italy, the 2 to 3 World Cups, and European and World Championships. So also we had to have 2 sets of racing boats if it's going to be if the World Championships or Olympic Games was in other continent, so we had to send it and we couldn't have another boat. We had to train the same boat we were sending there. And of course, as you see in the other pictures, medical tests and monitoring, that was really important to check on our health and our physical condition. But to be true, in this season 2021, our Olympic squad that was about 15 people. Well, we had 10 people that were Olympians, but we also had a bigger team like under 23 that were also building up in a right direction, demanded half of an annual federation budget. And if it's interesting, we got financiation from government, half of the budget, and the other half was coming from National Olympic Committee. So, but of course they had their structure for what kind of aspects they were giving us the financiation. So when we achieved 2 crews achieved medals in Rio Olympic Games, it was 4 persons. So each person was carrying with them from Olympic Committee 25,000 annually to the federation budget. And also the 10 people that were racing in the Olympic Games also carried some finances that were part of the whole annual budget. So I would say after the Rio Olympic Games, for the whole cycle, we were quite well built in the financial support. And well, this gave us opportunities to spread bigger teams and to invest in younger generations, but we had to do it cleverly. On this topic, I would say that's the most important. Of course, as you see, the motivation to succeed is quite complex thing, and for the athlete, is most important. I would agree that motivation and how he reacts to situations, or the first thing is that you have to decide what you want to do, and with this decision, you just make set goals to build up your preparation. So my question was, if I want to continue rowing, I say yes. Do I want to be the top rower? I said, well, of course. And for me, it was my dream was to go to the Olympics, to be at highest level athletes. Of course, at the first it wasn't looking like it's possible, but still, it was my dream, and I set a goal for Olympic cycle. So I think it's really important and possible to believe that in 3 years there will be in Latvia rowers that will compete in Paris, because 3 years is quite a big gap, and it's really a lot of time to achieve something. But then of course, you have to put it step by step until that Olympic goal, and yearly you put some goals that you would like to achieve, like winning or becoming a finalist at the World Championships, or of course you have to be more careful with them, because and you have to admit that you have to achieve them, and it comes then to even everyday, monthly and daily goals that have to be really, really possible, that daily you have to be maybe to bring them to every day. I have to be better in my numbers. I have to win against the person that he's really close to me, and you will feel the everyday satisfaction. So it will lead you to monthly goals, and yearly, and Olympic cycle. So it's really hard to think very far away, but if you would start building up your daily motivation from tomorrow, anything can happen Olympic cycle if you really set your goal right. Next slide is the same, motivation to succeed. Mine really example was patience and trusting the process, because I was not so successful at the beginning of my career, and it led me almost 10 years to achieve my first international title. So patience was the key for me, and it's not like for Milda. She was really young at her junior age, and she was seen quite quickly with her results. After I realized that I have to inspire myself with my inner voice. I had some phrases to inspire, maybe just before the race or during the hard days, and I was aiming for the goal. I was imagining that I had to achieve it because there is no other way. I have to get it, as I need to air for the breathing. So if you put it like this yourself, if you push yourself in that situation that there's no other way, you have to do it and to achieve your goals, to win and to make that numbers. So it's really possible that you're going to make it. The thing for me was, as strange as it looks, was motivation after recovering from injuries, because I had really difficult times. In 2015 I had a fracture and a fracture of an intestine, and I had to overcome the surgery. And this was at the April. I had to skip European Championships, but I knew that, well, it sounds strange, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's a meaning with this, because you put yourself, when you realize that if you could give everything you have to put yourself in a training again back, and I was collecting the motivation at that time. That put me in a recovery mode quite quickly, and after 2 months I was already racing in the World Championships and managed to win a silver medal. And that was risky from the point of doctors, but that was still possible. And the third slide, the same, was the reasons why I was doing sports, rowing. Of course, the main reason was that I really enjoyed the sport, but I really loved it. But for me, as I said before, it was daily satisfaction from completing tasks, every day exceeding your limits, like progressing you physically and mentally. After winning some races or even everyday training sessions, it was respect, the glory what you felt, rivalry against the other opponents, and excitement in racing against them. Responsibility goes to the coaches, and this one's really important, because coaches, from my opinion, they were inspiring me a lot, because they were like an example with their will, and they wanted to help me with their work. So coaches might do a huge influence in athletes' motivation. So they should be as a second father or mother, to be every day 24 hours caring and asking how it goes, how's the program, and how do you feel. So this gave me a lot of responsibility against my coaches, and I wanted not to let them down. And of course, the teamwork. Well, if the atmosphere in the team is good and you get the support from a teammate, then it's much easier to achieve your goals and to win your goals. So that's the finish line in Tokyo, and from my point of view, I agree, and I have to admit that this was the last year for me in rowing. I have to confess that I made a decision, and that's going to be the last Olympics for me. So, as one very clever person said, that you have to live more lives than one but still not gonna be away from rowing. Still, I want to share my experience and my ideas. But I think with the effort what I was putting in, I was not happy with the results I was getting the last couple of seasons. So this decision made natural, and well, hopefully I'm really happy with the experience what I got, but I'm looking forward to new challenges.
Thank you. But I hope to see you in Paris as a coach of Milda, yeah?
Maybe, in a coastal rowing as mixes. No.
Okay. Before maybe someone has a question. Kāda ir jautājums? Okay, I have a question about religion, but before religion, I will ask and test Latvians. Krepšīnio mokykla, vai kāds zina, ko tas nozīmē? Lietuviski. You understood what I said? Krepšīnio mokykla? 2 meters and 2 centimeters tall. Krepšīnio mokykla ir basketball clubs. About religion in Lithuania, it's basketball. How many times they have offered you, hey, Saulius, come to basketball. We have Lietuvas Rytas, we have Žalgiris.
I know with basketball, there's another story. My brother, he was quite similar as I am, and he was a basketball player from the younger age. So we had one player in our family, that was enough. But of course, many times I was asked, are you a basketball player or a volleyball player? Nobody thought I'm going to be a rower.
Mm-hmm. Okay, about the Tokyo Olympics, what would you change in the preparation or during the mindset? A lot of pressure maybe, everybody was waiting for a medal, and what went wrong?
Well, the Tokyo Olympics was like a complex, I would say, from many side effects, and I think I was prepared. Well, the numbers show that I was prepared best as I could physically, and from my opinion, if the qualification to the double would be much earlier, but not 1 month before the Tokyo Olympics, then the result should be different. And as I told you about our partnership, federation partnership with the Gianni Postiglione, if it wouldn't be stopping, if they haven't been stopped after 2020.
2020, so not a year later.
Yes. Then I would believe the qualification system would be the same, and we would see maybe medals from our national team.
Yeah, we were discussing about this also, about Latvian sports, that there were athletes that were happy that the games will be held in 2021 because they have somehow managed to get in the train to the Olympics. But a lot of athletes, that was like they were ready for 2020, and after they know that they rescheduled the games a year after, it was quite a challenge.
I believe I was kind of ready in the same way, but the difference between 2020 and 2021 was in the qualification system for us. That was all focused on the crew that was not selected on the quadruple, and it took a lot of people out of the side for the double that was already qualified.
Okay, kāds jautājums? Any questions?
Yeah, just maybe one question, because I think I need to ask. We're speaking about a lot about motivation today, and what makes sportsmen to stay in sport, not to quit. Probably you had such situations, I think, or maybe not. So did you have any time in your mind, in your career before Olympics, that it's done? I mean, it's too hard, or I want to quit?
Of course, I think that every athlete comes to that point, and for me, it was like when I stopped progressing at the before 2010, when I had those health issues with my heart. And even though I had stopped training for half a year, putting myself in a position where I was looking for a job and trying to look for other options, but from the support was really important from the right people, from the Olympic Committee, from the National Olympic Committee. So it changed my mind.
Okay. Vis? Ačiū Lietuva, ačiū braliukas. Thank you for your career.